Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're just plain living here. It's Valentine's week. My name is John Gray.
Hi, John Gray. I'm Peggy Burton.
And I'm Jim Fuller.
And here we are once
Here
again.
we are, yes.
Isn't it amazing how quick a week goes by in our life these days?
Oh, yeah.
Compared to what it used to when you were 6 years old and you got out for summer break for the first time from school.
Yeah.
It lasted an eternity.
It did.
Yeah.
It didn't
Those were
seem
the
like
good old
it.
days. Yeah.
Now it goes by in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and it's also like when John and I first started doing TV, and it's still this way to some extent, but when you were when we did a lot of live stuff then, more so than we do now.
Yeah.
And when you've got 6 minutes to fill or a minute to fill, and you've got to do that to get to the next commercial break or whatever, it seemed like an absolute eternity. Yeah, it was an eternity. And after 25, 30 years, it's not so bad anymore.
No.
Another thing that's hard is when you have a guest, and regardless of what your question is, they
Yes.
seem to say yes or no.
Right.
And they don't go anywhere with it.
Right. Especially if you don't have a clue
Right.
about what
it is they're
doing.
Because
Yeah.
you haven't done your homework.
Fuller's one of the best I've ever seen.
Well, thank you,
of
John.
gleaning.
Oh, yeah.
He gleans, and Teddy Bart, our friend and my close friend who worked with Channel 4 News in Nashville for years and did the Teddy Bart show and did the Public Forum and came and even did a show out of our studio. I asked him one time what the best way to question a guest was, and he said, "You just ask one question.
Yeah.
Then you shut up and listen.
Yeah.
If they'll talk.
You shut up and listen."
But that's true.
You know, because you hear a lot of times on TV, you hear people, the host or the interviewer, ask the guest a question that the guest just answered because they're not paying attention to what the guest is saying. They're thinking more about themselves and what they're going to say next. So you need to listen.
Yeah,
and
either
Fuller
that or-
does that as well as anybody.
Well,
He
you know,
can be
look-
absolutely unprepared and do a great interview because he pays attention.
Well, you got to admit, John, mostly we are totally unprepared. This show is completely spontaneous.
We're on the cuff, baby.
Yeah, we don't rehearse
make it.
anything.
We make
you know?
it.
Of course.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why people watch. Nobody likes perfection.
Right.
There wasn't but one cat that rolled around perfect.
Right.
Did you watch the Grammys? Not the Grammys,
Oscars.
the Oscars.
I watched the last part of it. We got involved in watching the movie. Fran and I did Hidden Figures. She had never seen the movie about the African American women that were involved in the space program.
That's a wonderful.
And it was
I
an
have not
absolutely
seen that, but
incredible
I've read the
movie.
book, and
Yeah.
it's,
It was a great movie.
Really
And so
good.
by the time we got through with that, we'd missed a whole lot of the Grammys, but we got to see Oscars, but we got to see the important part. So that's
Yeah.
all that mattered anyway.
This is something I'm going to point out is the fact that they used people of all different races and mental capacities, and I thought that was really great.
Well, they didn't have a host. This is the second year that they've not had a host. And because nobody would host that show,
It's a tough
it
job.
got so political and people were using it for a platform for their own personal political beliefs that the Academy said, we're not doing this anymore. That's not why people watch this. They watch this to find out who the best actors are, who the
Exactly.
best hairdressers are, who the best musicians are. They don't care what you think politically.
Yeah.
That's not why they're watching this show.
Well, the parts
So they
that
did
I
away
watched,
with it.
I
Yeah.
really liked. I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, oh, they did.
Yeah, and especially these days, there's so much of that on social media
Oh, horrible.
that's difficult to enjoy it, and particularly if you don't agree politically with them, you know. You end up getting frustrated and mad about it, and nobody's going to change anybody's opinion.
No.
You might as well just accept it.
I have-
There's no sense arguing about it at all.
no.
you know?
I have
Not at all.
never understood that. I mean, I have friends that are on either side of the picture, and that's not something that we talk about.
Right.
We find other subjects. And it
Politics and religion. Stay away from it.
That's right.
Stay away from it.
That's right.
Or you'll be talking all by yourself.
Right.
You'll be hunting a tree or a squirrel to talk to.
I have a friend who is politically active on Facebook. And I remember starting out, he used to have lots of conversations with people about politics and stuff like that. He got upset a number of times, and you're not going to change his mind.
No.
And so, but now he writes something on there and nobody responds. You know, he sort of.
They've heard it.
Yeah,
They're tired of it.
Yeah,
Tired of it.
exactly.
They've heard it. Hey, speaking about responding to something great, I saw a commercial on television, excuse me, the other day about a guy and his girl. And they're sitting there, and she looks at him and says, "Oh, honey, don't worry about getting me anything for Valentine's." Boys, that's the biggest trap ever been
Yeah,
set
don't go for
right
that.
there.
Yeah, don't go for
Don't
that.
go for it.
No.
You better show up with something.
Yeah.
Guarantee. I think it was a Jared. Go see Woodard.
Yeah.
Go see Woodard.
Right.
Go buy a gym membership. Lee Deckelman's here with us today. He's going to be talking about the yoga classes that he's having down at the American Legion Hall. Hey, get her something.
Yeah.
And you girls, get
Buy
him
him a
something.
brick. Buy him a brick if he was military.
Yeah, Sandra
So
Stevens going to be
let's
here.
expand on that a little bit. Now, if yoga is designed pretty much to give you peace of mind and that kind of thing, is that an accurate
Right.
statement? Yeah. Okay. So it's not like, honey, I think you're not really saying, honey, I think you're a little overweight. You need to go down to see Lee. Right? That's not that deal, right?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No, that's not really.
Okay.
Maybe
All right.
maybe
So
I need to
you're safe if you do
retract
that.
all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, big boy.
Yeah.
So
right.
what are you giving Fran, or is it
I
a
can't
secret?
say. I can't
It's a
say.
secret.
Yeah, it's a secret.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, though, the other night I was in remorse over the fact that I had a little something to eat, and I'm a sweet person.
Oh, you are sweet.
Not
I know
not
what
me
you're saying.
internally. I like sweets, and I mean, I don't care for cake. I'm a pie guy. I love pie, but I also like chocolate.
Yeah.
And
So you buy Fran
I was
chocolate.
in remorse over not having that little something sweet to eat. And she smiles and walks over and hands me a bag about that big around from Water's Edge.
Oh, me.
Chocolate with all these different chocolates on stuff. And they're not a sponsor on our show, but they just got a pro bono right there. Well, they're a local company, and they're a local business here in Tullahoma.
They put out a lot of
And
good
they
chocolate.
support a lot of good things.
Yeah.
And so go by Water's Edge and look at what they have and see about getting some chocolate, because it's good chocolate.
So how long did that bag of chocolate last?
It's gone already.
It's gone.
I had the feeling it was
It's gone. It is gone. I'm sorry. And who would have ever thought? Our preacher was preaching Sunday about salt and about how salt is used and how we need, salt is something that our bodies need, but too much salt is not good. And he said, who would have ever thought that salt on chocolate or caramel would be as
be so
good
good.
as it is?
I wouldn't have thought that either. But
And it's just incredible what salt does and how it fixes and helps things. So salty chocolate's good stuff, dude.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
chocolate.
Absolutely.
Just chocolate,
Just
yeah.
chocolate.
I can't have a bag of it in my house.
It doesn't last long, does
Same
it?
It's
with
hard.
ice
It's hard
cream.
to sleep when you've got
You
that.
can't go to sleep. You just,
No, not
Have
at
you
all.
guys seen the deal on Facebook where yesterday you could stand a broom up and it would stand up on its own? Then, according to NASA, I wish I knew more about this subject, but because I just
saw
saw this
that.
one. Yeah, and everybody was doing that, and apparently, according to NASA, yesterday is the only time that happened this year.
is that the magnetic pull or
It's a
something?
magnetic pull of the
Of the Earth.
And I hope this is accurate, but
I don't know, it sounds cool.
but people were taking brooms, and apparently
just
you
standing them up.
you can stand them
I
up
wish
on
I'd have
there.
tried it.
Yeah.
Now, was it did the type of broom make a difference? I wonder whether it was a
It appeared to be one
straw
of the.
broom, or was it a broom that's made out of
Now,
this?
John, I told you going in, I don't know all the details.
Well, I mean, it would make a difference.
However,
Witches probably
it
loved
appeared
it.
that most of the brooms I saw were the little, not straw, they were synthetic.
Little swish broom
And
type
they
broom.
were
Yeah, although
standing
some of them
there.
were
Yeah.
this tall. You see it?
I did.
Yeah.
I saw it.
I
And
didn't see any.
was
I didn't see
thinking,
any straw ones. Did you?
Uh-uh.
I didn't either.
I don't
But,
think so.
Apparently that won't work today. But yesterday you could
I'd
do
have tried. I'd have jumped on one to see if it would have flown.
it. Right.
Well, I have a friend that has these magnetic things that you put on your knee, like when you have knee surgery or whatever, or if you put it on your back or whatever. And he swears by the magnetism in it does something for you. And I'm not explaining that correctly, I'm sure, but it's a good thought.
To me, that is going to be one of the things that leads us to anti-gravity. Magnetism is going to be something involved in the next quantum leap in our search for the stars. It's the only thing that exists that is a power that takes nothing to run.
Yeah.
That's a good thought, yeah.
You know, you could take and put magnets in a road and a magnet in your car. Now you would have to give up personal freedom because the road would run at a certain speed, the way those things pulsed, and a magnet just drag your car down the road when needing gas.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, really, but that's going to be figured out
Yeah.
at some point, and because it's free energy
Yeah.
that attracts and repels.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, pretty cool.
It would be
You know,
nice, wouldn't it?
I noticed last week the gas got below $2 a
I
gallon
couldn't believe that.
for a few
Every
days.
station I would pass, I'd think, oh man, I need to turn around and get gas, and the next one would be less.
Yeah.
It was.
Unreal.
Then you live out where I live. If you go to those
249.
little stations there.
Get toward the lake.
Yeah.
Well,
They
I've
go
noticed it's
higher.
typically higher. Gas is typically higher on Jackson Street than it might be like over at our buddy at Brothers Market.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
You know,
right.
His is always
he's kind of
low.
off the beaten path a little bit, but you know, his gas is always, you know,
The one that's
6-8 cents
got
cheaper
it
than
whipped into shape is Speedway.
yeah.
They all kind of were lockstep until Speedway came in here, and Speedway drop it on them a nickel,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they had to keep up.
They had to
Yeah,
keep
right.
up, that's
They
right.
had to keep up. So that's sort of, it's kind of funny how all that goes on.
You want us to keep talking, huh?
No, we don't get to keep
Or
talking.
you want us to shut up?
We're operating today kind of like in the blind because we typically have electronic timer over here that tells us when to stop and all that, which is not functional today.
Well, we've got some neat.
And we
We're
used to
functional.
we used
So
to
we need to
fun,
get on
we
with
used to
it.
work with earplugs all the time, so they could tell us things we should be doing, and we quit that not because we don't have them and not because they don't work. Because it's just easier to holler at somebody across the room. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, and so there a lot of times behind us, and you'll probably hear it occasionally on the air. Somebody will holler something at us and tell us to do this. So.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
There
hollering
he is.
back
Yeah,
there right
there
now.
he is,
Hey,
yeah.
Get
hey,
off.
don't you go away. Pay attention to our commercials and go buy something from our sponsors. Because of them, we've been on the air for 28 years here in Tullahoma and our surrounding counties, bringing you local information, facts, and fun. So we'll be right back after this quick commercial break.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Ford of Winchester. Check out the 2018 Ford F-150 as low as $34,739. That's Russell Barnett Ford on 41A in Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, my question is, why buy anywhere else?
You made the time and the sacrifice to broaden their horizons, to see their smiles, but mostly to make lifelong memories. We think it's time to do it again, just the two of you. Don't let illness or injury slow you down. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and I am really glad to have this young man with us today. I'll just go ahead and introduce him. It's Lee Deckelman, and Lee is a Tullahoma boy.
Yes, sir.
Who went away and to find fame and fortune.
I was looking for a job.
Looking for a job, and became involved in the military.
Yes, sir.
And spent a lot of time overseas.
Too much, yes, sir.
Too much time overseas, sure. And you were involved in special forces.
Yes, sir.
And did some of those things that hang around on your mind because of what you were trained, and that was how you were serving your country, is to do what you were trained to do.
Yes, sir.
And like a lot of people, I can remember, I'll take it back to World War II. You know, my dad was in World War II, and you know, a lot of those guys never talked about anything. You take a guy who was involved in the storming the beaches and when people were being slaughtered, and a lot of those guys just didn't talk about that. It wasn't something pretty, and their memories were sad about
yes.
that. And what we found out is, through research modernly, is that a lot of that hangs with people and our veterans to the point that it's almost debilitating. And what you've done as a vet, as a Legion member, and as an incredible young man, is you found a way to solve some of these problems through physical and mental, in a form of exercise, therapy, whatever you want to call it, and they call it yoga.
Yes, sir.
And what I want you to do after that big pitch right there, no curve, it was a fast, hey, no, that wasn't even a fastball. That was one of those that you want, I want you to hit a home run. I just sort of put it in there for you. It's served up.
Well, where would you like me to start, John?
I'd like for you
Almost
to
anything.
tell our audience and the people in our surrounding counties what you're doing at our American Legion Hall here in Tullahoma through the use of yoga to support and help veterans and people who, just anybody who needs help in their life, understanding where they are, why they are, and how maybe to let go and get rid of some of the stuff that's not positive in their life.
Right. So, for me, you know, when you're interviewing with John Gray on television, it looks like life's going great or whatever, but there's a lot that goes on with everybody's life that isn't great, and those are the times you either fight or you succumb to whatever it is, and I can't take much credit. You know, along the way there were certain forks in the road and things that happened that allowed this to happen, and one of it was the book "The Body Keeps the Score" by Bessel van der Kolk. When you talk about the war, John, and coming home in World War II, that's a great example. Those men came home, most of them became alcoholics, they became abusive, dysfunctional families, all this, nobody talked about it.
Oh, no.
It wasn't until The Body Keeps the Score, which I think came out in 2014, where the gentleman, the doctor that invented the term PTSD, wrote that book. And so what we discovered is that happens after every war. After every war, about 50% of the people or more that come home will suffer something tragic. They'll kill themselves, or they'll succumb to addiction, and they'll destroy their lives. Over 50% more people will die from suicide than in the actual war fighting. So war is a very bad thing for our society, but it's very profitable. And so there's that
Yeah,
issue
there you
that, I can't really speak to that. My service, I serve proudly. I was indoctrinated into an America where you're proud to be an American and you're proud to serve, and I was. Sometimes you serve and you're asked to do things, other times you aren't. So during my service, I was asked to do a lot of things. And whether those things I struggle with more, or whether it's the childhood stuff from trauma that I've learned about, or a combination of both, whatever it is, I was walking around in an angry body. I was an unhappy person. And I didn't want to be that person. I've never wanted to be that person. Even when I was a kid, I just was always happy in general. Yeah. And I kind of lost that, kind of missed that. And so I'm working on that. And through yoga, that's the vehicle. That was the vehicle that allowed me to start calming down and relaxing and just trying to be happy again. So.
And so what you're doing with yoga now, you've taken this experience that you've enjoyed, and you're figuring out, I've got buddies, I've got comrades, we've got people in our community who are going through bad times. How can I serve? And again, here you are in service.
Right.
So how can I serve these people to help them find the peace that I found? How are you doing that?
Right, so again, nothing original. It's been around for thousands of years. I'm just trying to bring it as a free service to Tullahoma, being mindful, being kind, being gracious. You can, in your own head, you can decide if something's good or bad, even if it's raining on you. It can be raining on you, but you're not on fire. It's relative to how you want to look at something and how you want to deal with something. And, when you're a bad place, it's a lot easier to just think bad things. It's just a default, but that doesn't serve us. And getting on that mat and moving around and breathing and connecting with your body, I think works for a lot of people. It may not work for everybody, but It works for me. And I don't want, it could be a veteran thing, but trauma. You think about all the veterans that came home from World War II or Vietnam and what they did to their families accidentally. They didn't want to be those ugly people.
No.
They didn't want to scream and holler and freak out at intersections and chase people with guns or whatever. They didn't want to be that person, but as a result, that's what they become. So the families are traumatized too, the kids and everything. So that's why we want it to be everybody in Tullahoma. Everybody's affected by trauma.
Right.
Or may be affected by trauma in one way or the other. And
we have to realize it's not my definition of trauma or your definition of trauma, but their definition of trauma.
Absolutely. Yeah, if it's something that's interfering with your ability to just be present and be happy and live a normal life, that's probably something you should work on.
Right, so where are you doing this?
At the American Legion, Post 43.
Downtown.
Where you're a member. And
Chaplain.
Thanks to Commander Alan Harris, great man.
When is that happening?
So every day at 9 a.m. and every evening at 6 p.m. Lasts about 75 minutes. About 20 minutes of that's meditation.
Which is something we all need to learn to do.
If nothing else.
If nothing else. So all you have to do is wander in. That's on Atlantic Street downtown, right about halfway in between the avenues and the hotel.
Right by Couches, yeah.
Right by Couches, right up from Couches. Lee will be there, or one of his representatives. He's got somebody doing his class this morning where he could be on here with us. Yeah. And go down there and meet this fine young Tullahomian, fine young American who is taking what he learned and sharing how to change his life and become what he wants to become, but also he can help you do the same thing. And it doesn't hurt at all, and it doesn't cost anything. And I guarantee you, when you walk away, you'll have a feeling about yourself and a look on your face that you might not have carried for quite some time. Because that's what happens to me whenever I'm around this guy. I have a look on my face and a feeling in me that I don't carry all the time because I'm around somebody like this young man right here.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
See you in just a few minutes, folks.
Smoking tobacco accounts for 3 of every 10 fire deaths in the United States.
Tullahoma Fire Department. Need you en route to a structure fire, 202 Main Street. Heavy smoke showing. Neighbors advise child trapped inside.
Lighters, matches, and associated smoking paraphernalia are the leading cause of preschooler fire deaths. We as firefighters know that most structure fires can be prevented.
I've got one! Command, this is primary search. We have a victim. Need EMS to meet us at the front door.
Please help us to give you a fighting chance. This can be prevented. Contact the Tullahoma Fire Department for a free home safety inspection.
What's a Tennessee vacation? It starts off like any road trip, and then, boom, adventure and thrills everywhere you look, which happens to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the country. Music here, history there, and all kinds of green in between. Come relax and unwind, or bring the crowd for some stargazing, or stargazing. Whatever you do, come hungry and expect an awesome soundtrack. It's all right here in Tennessee. We're playing your song. For a free vacation guide, visit tnvacation.com.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
It's always such fun when I have Judy Jenkins on the show. Hey, Judy, how are you?
Thank you
It's
so
good
much.
to
It's an
see
honor to
you.
be here.
You're here with Trinity,
Adult Daycare.
and there's lots going on. And
Absolutely. Tullahoma is the most wonderful city to be in because it cares about its
Yes, it
community.
does.
25 years ago, a physician and his nurse wife started Trinity Adult Daycare. The reason for the starting of it was dementia was starting to be a lot more awareness by the community, but there was no help. You have to remember that a patient that's diagnosed with dementia is cared for by at least 1, 2, or 3 people, and that's just to maintain them in the home.
I know.
The caregivers go without sleep, they have to quit their jobs, they become so frustrated, but they love their loved ones and they want to provide the best care. So Trinity Adult Daycare was born. It is the only licensed daycare in 4 counties.
And that's amazing.
That's amazing
They're a
beyond belief.
lifesaver for people that need a short break. They got to go get groceries.
They have to go to the doctor. They just need an hour to themselves, whatever it happens to be. So the daycare center is located here in Tullahoma. We are a charity. We do constantly raise funds. Recently, we indicated to the community that we needed more patients. They sent us the people. But once a year, we have a blowout of an event. It's called our Diamond and Denim Gala. And hence, I am attired in the most sequins I could find.
I love it.
And to have fun. This is called Elegantly Casual. So I sparkle, then I have on jeans. And so I'm comfortable, I have fun. We have a gala coming up at the Country Club. And we very uniquely chose February 29th, which everyone knows is Leap Year Day. Now, we thought we'd sort of use that to our advantage. We're going to be at the Country Club. We have the usual things, a live auction, a fun, silent auction. But sort of hidden amongst all of the stuff will be clues, questions that if you get right, you end up getting gifts, prizes.
Wonderful.
And because it's the Diamond and Denim Gala, we give each participant, each attendee, a little black bag, and inside could be a chocolate diamond.
I love that.
There are usually 3 of them.
I won one year.
Oh, wonderful.
I did. It
I
was
have
beautiful.
never won one, but I keep trying.
Yeah. So is this taking the place of your, you've usually done it at night, is that not
It
correct?
is in the evening.
And
It'll
so
be
you-
about 6 p.m. It's going to be at the Country Club. They are putting on a gourmet feast for us, and I get to taste test it ahead of time so I know how good it will be. We're going to actually serve desserts from our community.
Oh,
so the individuals that are special, their specialty is cheesecake, their specialty is some
So
sort
they're
of
gonna
a
donate.
chocolate bourbon cake. That's what's for dessert. So we're hoping to have a lot of fun. We want everyone to come. The tickets cost $70, and it does sound like a lot of money, but 45 of those dollars are tax deductible. So you can see we're trying to raise funds. That's how we totally exist. We'd love to have people come. If you'd like to call for more information, why don't you just take a look at the sign in front of me, and please call. We'd love to have you. And more important, we'd love to be the solution to dementia before they find a cure.
And there more and more people
There
are
are
coming,
5 to
or maybe
7.
more and more are being recognized.
That's it. 5 to 7 million people in the United States have documented dementia. But as I said, caregivers like to keep their loved ones at home. They don't report it to the doctor. They just try to handle it themselves. So there are so many more. Every time you have a stroke, you have to worry about dementia. Parkinson's brings dementia along with it. And of course, Alzheimer's, which is the most talked about. You can't really diagnose it in a minute or two.
No, you can't.
But there are a few tests that they do, and then the treatment is basically loving care, movement. People don't know that they have to be on their feet, they have to be moving. It helps to prevent pneumonia, it helps to prevent breakdown of the tissues. So we're trying to combat dementia in any way we can.
So
And
when you, as a caretaker, bring your loved one to that center, what are some of the activities that they get to do during the day?
Well, some of the things, dementia is a diagnosis that only goes downhill, and it will eventually kill the individual. In the meantime, there are medications that sort of level out their memory. We try to do things by stimulating their eyes, allowing them, we play bingo. It's amazing. You may forget your loved ones, but you remember bingo. We use music. We use garden therapy. We even have had a therapy dog that has come in.
Oh, I love
so
that.
any therapy that works, we will try. We have a loving director. We have loving caregivers, and all of us that participate on the board know the importance of it. So we drop by periodically and just do something that's fun.
The caretaker has to learn things. My mother had dementia, and I'm assuming it developed into Alzheimer's. And at first, they seem basically normal, but just a little off kilter. And I'm telling about myself. There were times when my mother would anger me because I think, what in the world is going on? And then I started researching and looking up and figuring it out. And you're right. You have to have loving care. And if nothing will suit them but to go home, they ask to go home a lot, or my mother did.
They do.
We'd get in the car and we'd drive for 30 minutes, and then we'd come home, and she would be happy.
Yep.
And you just have to learn little things
little tricks along the way. We try to teach everyone the little tricks, because you have to realize you have to meet the dementia patient where they are. You can't bring them to where you are. So sometimes you might just nod your head and say, yes, okay, and tell me more, because it's important to treat them.
And if they're able to talk, that's good.
Some have lost that skill, but still they need to be part of a social environment. They need to be monitored while they eat their food to make sure they do. And as I said, movement is one of the most critical things that they're finding now. If you fall and break a hip, instead of therapy and keep on going, people have a tendency to just stay in bed. And that's the worst thing in the world.
Good advice for everybody. Keep moving.
Keep moving, absolutely.
I think above all, don't ever forget who that person was.
That's right, absolutely. They are still that person. They've just lost the ability to enjoy the things that they did when they were.
February 29th at Country Club, the phone number is there. Please write it down. And what a gracious gift it would be if you just show up. And if you can't go, a donation is always appreciated.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's a wonderful event, and I'm so proud of you for what all you do.
Thank you so much. I do it because I love Tullahoma.
I love that outfit.
Thank you so much.
Dress like that all the time.
I'm sure my children are just going to disown me.
Here at Manchester Funeral Home, we know the importance of living and working in our local community because it's those families who we serve during their time of need honorably. We believe in supporting local business and offer only 100% Batesville caskets, the best in the industry and a driver of our local economy. If you want straightforward and fair pricing while working with the people you know, choose Manchester Funeral Home, serving your community since 1932. And pre-planning and pre-funding can be the best gift you ever leave your loved ones. Call us to pre-arrange. Manchester Funeral Home. Our family caring for your family since 1932.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play, what you wear, how you dance, or even what direction life takes you. You just need to be there. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
How long has it been since you raced a cheetah? Are your tornado creating skills getting rusty? Tired of being the only one in your neighborhood who hasn't built a dinosaur? Sounds like it's time to visit the Hands-On Science Center. The Hands-On Science Center is an indoor science playground. In this museum, please touch is the rule. Join us for weekly science demonstrations on space, lasers, lizards, rocks, and a whole lot more. No two visits are ever the same, so visit often to see our ever-changing exhibits and demonstrations. The Hands-On Science Center, 101 Mitchell Boulevard in Tullahoma.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Good morning, all you wonderful people in TV land, and thank you, camera lady and camera gentleman, for putting a good, sharp, colorful, contrasty picture on the screen. Well, we started a little series last week about corners, and had several good responses to it, and said, hey, that's interesting. I remember this about that corner up there at the corner of Lincoln and Atlantic Street, and they said, go all the way around the square and tell us about the corners. Well, I thought I'd continue that series and share it with you as we remember it, the corner of Grundy Street and Atlantic Street, the 100 block there that, as you see it now, the old post office there and the law office and the railroad track and the parking lot. But now let's go back a few years. At the site of the old post office was a a hotel, a wooden hotel, two-story, had picket fence around it, and it was one of the downtown hotels even before the King Hotel. And it was, as I say, where the old post office was at the corner of 201 North Atlantic, and the building caught fire in 1896 and burned. It was a terrible fire, and it came across Grundy Street and burned almost the whole block of 100 block of North Atlantic. And at that time, the freight depot was at the spot where the parking lot is until 1921, and then the spur tracks were over at the corner of Grundy and Atlantic Street. But now the old post office was built where that hotel had been at the corner of Grundy and Atlantic, and it was built in 1924. Cornerstone was laid in 1925, and it was used as a first-class post office until just a few years ago when the new post office was built at the corner of Lauderdale and South Jackson Street. But it was a viable place, and the rural mail carriers carried mail from that post office with a horse and buggy for many, many years. And it got motorized, I think, in the late 20s. But that was a real important part of Tullahoma's downtown business community. And across the street after the fire, at the corner of Atlantic and Grundy, prior to the fire, there was a big men's store, department store there called the Palace. And 3 doors up from there, where the present shoe repair shop was the post office. Up until 1924, it was there. And then they built, after the fire, they built the theater there at the corner where the legal service offices are now. And it was a Strand Theater, a state-of-the-art theater there for many, many, many years. And when the theater business went to outdoor drive-in movies and the TV came on and the motion picture industry began to dwindle a little bit, the Strand Theater was replaced by a grocery store. H.G. Hill grocery store was there for many, many years. A big store, but they didn't have an ample parking for their customers, so H.G. Hill closed their business, and there was a Fred's was there for a while, kind of a dime store, and then later they moved, and the legal services offices have been in there several years now. And when they moved the freight depot in 1921 down 2 blocks, 3 blocks to where the Red Caboose is now on 300 block of South Atlantic Street, the location where the freight depot had been was made into a city park, Davidson Park, that was there on that 100 block of North Atlantic Street. And it was named for the present mayor of at that time was W.J. Davidson, and the city council named the park the Davidson Park. And they had canna beds in there and mulberry trees and the flagpole, and that's where our own groundhog lived there in Davidson Park, right there at the corner of Grundy and Atlantic Street. And our groundhog was named Billy. And how he came, know to come out every February on Groundhog Day, he did, and lived in what the groundhog nest is. It's called a hutch. And Billy would come out, and he liked ice cream. And there at the candy kitchen across the street, people would bring Billy an ice cream cone on Groundhog Day. The other corner there was a sidetrack for the Nashville, Chattanooga, St. Louis railroads, where the big trucks would back up there in front of the post office and load and unload their freight there for many years. And later it became a loading spot for trailers, and for many years they had the whole platform over there by the depot with trailers that would exchange their cabs, their tractors, and hundreds of them would be over there for a long time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the second traffic light was there at the corner of Grundy and Atlantic Street. You know, we mentioned the first traffic light was at the corner of Lincoln and Atlantic Street, and it was on a post, and the farmers would come in town, and when they'd leave and go around that post, they wouldn't always get around it. The rear wheel of their wagon would catch it and pull that post down and finally put it up on wires. But that was a real important corner of our community, a lot of activity there. And this is not the end of the story, because there's a whole lot more to come, and we're going to go all the way around the square on the corners and share with you some old tales about the downtown corners. Thank you, and have a good day.
Keith Barnett here at Russell Barnett Kia in Tullahoma. Check out the 2019 fully loaded V6 Kia Sorento, up to $6,400 off original MSRP. That's Russell Barnett Kia in Tullahoma, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. And remember, why buy anywhere else?
My wife Jackie has always been the life of the party, but things changed when she couldn't be as active anymore.
They told me I needed a double knee replacement.
It's not as big a deal as it used to be, but she still needed to go to rehab.
I was amazed at how good the therapists were at Life Care. They took really good care of me.
They took excellent care of her. And now she's back doing the things she loves, and that makes everyone happy.
Life Care Center of Tullahoma wants you to get active and live well.
So you've been meaning to do something healthy, commune with nature, get outdoors and meet new people. We have the perfect solution. Come hike with us. You can find a Tennessee Trails Association chapter near you, including Clarksville, Columbia Franklin, Highland Rim, Jackson, Knoxville, Oak Ridge, Memphis, Murfreesboro, Nashville, Plateau at Crossville, and Upper Cumberland. We're on the web at TennesseeTrails.org. It's fun, it's stress-free, and it's good for you. See you on the trails.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, folks, we're back, and I'm glad to have a young lady full of energy and her guest on here today, Miss Sandy Sebring, and we are talking about the Veterans installation downtown.
Right.
By the Caboose that you and your group started work on about what, 2.5 years ago?
No. In fact, it was less than a year ago. In February, a year ago, I really wasn't sure it was going to go anywhere. And then in March, the mayor and the city council, aldermen, they decided that yes, the Shady Grove Garden Club could have installed the two memorials, right, the Blue Star and the Gold Star. And these were to honor veterans, anyone who has served in the armed forces, as well as a tribute to families who have lost a member in the service of the
Certainly.
armed forces. And we were so excited, and work started pretty much immediately with the pad where the memorials are sited, and the flagpole, which was donated by the Prescott family in memory of their son. There just was a outpouring of help to get us going. And
American Legion posters involved.
Listen, well, the Tullahoma Historical Society and the American Legion, Alan Harris and then Richard Chastain started helping, and it was exciting. And so we, on Memorial Day 2019, we dedicated the Blue Star and the Gold Star memorials and the flagpole. And then later on, it just seemed like one idea ran into another. And with the help of, this is Gay Bernard, who is a member of the Shady Grove Garden Club also, and Rocky Bernard, who belongs to Gay. And
who is not a member of this.
He's not.
No, but you should be probably.
We should.
I guarantee you've hauled a bunch of subsoil and different things like that.
Everything.
You probably got a badge coming somewhere.
He has a star in his crown, sure enough.
There you go.
Because he has been just essential in doing everything that needed to be done, and there was a lot, and no one person ever does all the work.
No.
It was the involvement of the whole garden club, but these two really were my boosters. And so in November the 11th, we had predicted that we would be able to have a sidewalk with the engraved bricks like this, with the names of veterans, and that was our only requirement, just for it to be a veteran. And we started selling them, and it again was, well, I will have to say a lot came in at the last minute.
Right.
But we did end up having installed by Veterans Day, 405 engraved pavers.
Okay.
So I'm sure they have
How many more now? Does that take you from the monuments? How close does that take you to the parking lot?
Well, from the monument down to where you have the table and the benches and so forth, the sidewalk was 69 feet long.
Okay.
And it was about, well, with the curbing on the side, it was almost 6 feet wide, or somewhere in that vicinity. And so we have spaces for several hundred more bricks.
Okay.
We have them filled with blanks. And
Right,
it's very
right,
easy
right.
to remove. We had a great brick man, and it's just turned out great. They can remove the blanks. They can send in their application for their veteran, and
Right.
we get the
Very good.
new ones put in, installed by Memorial Day 2020. So they have to have their application in by April the 15th, tax day. So I would like for our helpers here to add comments about how they feel like it's gone with the help we've had from the city and so forth.
I think it's gone really well. You know, as a retired Air Force guy, Gay would often say, I have a memorial brick. This is my fourth location. I have one in my hometown. I have one in my mother's hometown in Nebraska. I have one in Beaver Creek, Ohio, where I retired from the Air Force, and now here. And we were kind of amazed when we got here that Tullahoma did not have a Veterans Memorial. So now we do have one.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
And since we started phase 2 on the 1st of January, it's been just like in phase 1, slow coming, but the applications are getting out there. People are responding, and hopefully we'll have a good number to be added
Right.
for for phase 2.
Well, and I'm sure there are a lot of people, we're a busy society.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people miss things and they go, oh, well, I didn't know. Why didn't you advertise that? Well, it was in the newspaper, on the radio, on television, da-da-da-da-da. Well, what rock are you living under?
True.
But people are busy and it takes time, a lot of time, for stuff to sink in. One of the things that I say, and I found it to be a fact in life, and it is not detrimental to anyone involved. Anybody can be a starter.
Yeah, right.
It's hard to find someone that's a closer. This is a closer right here.
Well, we do plan.
She closed the deal, and those people are hard to find. It's real easy to pick a project and go, oh, let's do this, and you get about halfway through it, and it kind of slows down. So, not with this one right here.
No.
She'll build a fire under anything needed to come to a conclusion, which she did, and you should be very proud of yourself.
Well,
we as a community are very proud of you for doing what you did.
Thank you.
Because it's not an easy thing to do. So now we're in the second involvement, and it'll take a little while to wake them back up, but there are people who, maybe couldn't buy but one.
That's
now
true.
they go,
They're
okay,
coming
well, I need to
back.
think about Uncle George and my brother Tim
That's
and
true.
whatever. So
and that's exactly what we've had in phase 2 is people who have said, well, I got one during phase 1, now I need another one for phase 2.
And we're happy to get them. And I also want to mention that this site has become a wonderful place for more than just what we intended to begin with. We have a monument that Adam Yardumian did for his Eagle Scout badge, which honors all the branches of the armed services, so that's there. And now the Tennessee Regent, DAR Regent, spoke recently at a meeting, and her project is to put dogwoods all over the state of Tennessee. And so we said we would like to do one for our chapter. So we're going to have a DAR dogwood installed near the bench there. So we're having things that will add to the significance of the history park.
Sure.
And that's what we want it to be.
And it's easy to start projects, and I know at one point there's no telling how many trees we bought, because there have been different tree programs, and we are very fortunate to have Ralph Graham and some of these other people involved in the horticulture of our city. And but there have been things where you could buy a memorial tree, and that we at one point, or buttercups. There was a point we had buttercups, and there were buttercups. And so it's kind of hard sometimes to see that stuff kind of fall to the wayside, because the firebrand is no longer here, or moved away, or ill or something. So anytime we can get one of these programs going and we can keep it going, that's the hard part.
Well, we have so many veterans in this city that it shouldn't be hard to get it going, keep it going, and maintain it.
Right.
I'm big on maintenance. And so,
all you got to do is drive out and look at her house, and you'll understand that.
Not today, but anyway, it's something that I think we have a heart for here in Tullahoma. We do.
Okay, so how do they get in touch with you? We're getting the big X here.
This is your form. You've seen them before. They are available at City Hall and also at Tri-County Bank. And if you call either of us, families, down here are our phone numbers, we will mail you one if you have someone out of town. Happy to do it, or we'll call you and bring it to you.
There you go.
And we'll have a lot of these available. So this is what you need, and it goes to this gentleman right here, and then he records and he sends it on to me, and then I finish up with the deposit. That's important too.
Do they have a mascot uniform for the Shady Grove Garden Club?
No.
That might be appropriate.
We're not going to put an apron on him.
Not an apron.
No,
he needs a farmer's hat. Y'all need to build him a two-wheel cart and get him a little donkey.
We
and
all
have a two-wheel cart with a shovel full of dirt in the back.
We all need to be praying for the rain to stop where we can get busy.
Well, we need to get on out of here.
Okay.
Sandy, thank you so much, and thank you
John.
folks for being here with us. Thank you very much for your involvement. You know, this is a great little
New
community where folks find a way to get involved, and that just makes the fabric of where we live so strong and wonderful for all of us to enjoy, and all of you to be thanked for that.
Yes. Well, thank you so
You're
much.
more than welcome. Closer, that's her right there. Got a project. When she gets through with this one, give her a call. We'll be right back.
Clayton has been Tullahoma's family shoe store for over 100 years with a reputation for fashion and personal service. And the tradition continues today. Stop by Clayton's and see our large selection of fine shoes.
We're gonna fit your style. We're gonna make you smile. Service and quality at Clayton Shoe Store. We're gonna fit your style.
Ah, the glory days. Running to daylight on the gridiron and chasing a ball with a mind of its own. Cheering the team to victory and marching to the beat of your own drum. Memories that last a lifetime. But sometimes we're reminded of our glory days in ways we'd rather forget. Get back in the game. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live and play well.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat. With John and Pat. With John and Pat.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Rickman. I'm Pat Welch, and we're here with Conversations of John and Pat, segment 38, John. Ain't it great? Oh, it's great. And it's been great. We've had a little bit of off time because of surgery. Downtime. Had a little surgery. John had a little shoulder surgery, and we're so pleased to be back together and with our many fans.
And my guitar playing never has been great, but it was worse during that time. So I decided to wait till this time. I'm going to do a little song, Pat.
This is going to be great.
This is about something, a little prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. Everyone's heard of that little prayer. Hopefully you were taught that by your parents when you were young. And I made a little song about it one time, and this mentions my mother. And as I sing this, I want you to know that I'm going to tell a little bit about my mother in a minute because she's turned 100 years old.
A great centennial lady.
When I was a little boy, my mama told me, son, always say this little prayer when the day is done. I'd fold my hands and close my eyes and get down on my knees. Then I'd say that little prayer Mama taught to me. Now I lay me down to sleep, pray the Lord my soul to keep. Guide me safely through the night and wake me with the morning light. Sometimes I'd have a bad dream in the middle of the night, but then I'd say my little prayer and things would be all right. The Lord would come into my room and keep me company. when I'd say that little prayer Mama taught to me. That little prayer that Mama taught made my whole life a song. It opened up a world to God, made me secure and strong. Now I've got children of my own, and they've been taught life's key. I've taught them all that little prayer Mama taught to me. Now I lay me down to sleep, pray the Lord my soul to keep. Guide me safely through the night, and wake me with the morning light.
John, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
We've got one person that likes it because I heard them clap.
Do a little background clapping,
but
which was genuine.
My mother, Catherine Rickman, and Philip, can we show the pictures there? That was back in 1940, and my sister had just been born. That's my father on the left, and that was, you know, she was a pretty young lady. My daddy, a handsome young man back that time, and they were proud of my sister. I think after my sister and I was born, and then my brother was born, I think that was quite a disappointment to them, you know, that we didn't achieve some of the academic and social levels that my sister had. But it was...
Well, a lot of times, I'm the oldest child in my family. A lot of the younger ones wish they could have done as well as me too, John. I mean, very facetious there.
Well,
and you are too.
Yeah, my mother is a tough lady, and when we were youngsters, she made us toe the line. I would remember, you know, coming home from a football game late at night, or we played rock and roll music in high school. And believe me, we didn't stay up late when we were at home, but when we come in, drag in at those late hours, the next morning, we'd get up at 6 o'clock. You know, she'd let us sleep in. And she would say, hey, Mr. Harris wants you to help him strip tobacco today. Mama, I don't want to. I'm tired. I'm bruised up from whatever, you know. And she said, well, get up. And she didn't believe in laying around, and we didn't, you know. It was my father.
See, these are really interesting stories to me, John, because the time I've known her, she was just so gentle and so sweet.
Well, she's at Life Care, and she's one of the most gentle people you ever saw. She's got Alzheimer's, and she just loves everybody. But a lot of the people she knows and sits around, you know, she identifies them with people she's known in the past.
Yeah.
And she was born in 1917, and still living now in 2017, which is a long time.
I visited her at Life Care not too many months ago, and I put my hand on her. She had her hands folded on her lap, and I put my hand on top of her hands, and she picked my hand up and kissed it. And it just really touched me.
Well, she's so sweet, and I remember as giving us a lot of tough love when we were young. I remember one time I got
she can handle that, the sweet love now.
When I was 16, I just got my driver's license. I was over in Lewisburg, and I got a speeding ticket. Well, I was going to hide it from my parents, and especially my mother, because I knew she'd go wild about it, you know. They might let me not drive anymore, wouldn't let me drive anymore. So I got a guy to carry me over to Lewisburg, and he had enough money to pay my fine should I need to, you know, to do that.
A little help.
So I had to go see Judge Patterson. I don't know how it's done now, but back then you go to see the judge. And Judge Patterson, he talked with me, said, how you doing? You play football over Chapel Hill, I understand, and everything. Yeah, you good-looking boy, and how's your grades and this and that. Your dad, he's doing all right too, I suppose. Yes, sir. And well, does he know about this ticket you got? I said, no, sir. He doesn't.
And would rather not you know.
He said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tear this up if you tell him. Now, I'm going to ask him. I see him around Lewisburg because my father worked in Lewisburg. He said, And I'm going to ask him whether you told him or not. So I went home, and that later that afternoon when Daddy was there, he was down at the barn milking, and I walked in and I said, Daddy, I got a ticket, and Judge Patterson wanted me to tell you that I got one. First thing out of Daddy's mouth was, don't tell your mama.
Well, aren't you glad the judge just required one parent to be told?
Well, she was tough on us, and she was a good lady, and everybody needs one tough parent and one sort of forgiving parent in a relationship like that, and she was the tough.
You know, another thing, one of my best memories ever, I've told, I think this on the show before about their playing the piano, but
yeah.
We also went to a church, to the Methodist church with her, and I can't remember why we were over there on Sunday morning,
Well,
John.
you had Mark, he was from First Methodist Church here in
That's right.
Tullahoma
That's right.
that went to
That's right.
Chapel Hill, become
Right.
senior pastor.
Right. And your mother she was in great shape then, but she was already sweet. And we were trying to figure out who was going to sit where, and to be honest, I was trying to see if I could sit by her and knock you out to make a good story. And she realized what was going on pretty quick, and there was another older lady with her, and she got right both of our faces and said, boys, I want y'all to meet my pew buddy, which meant she's going to sit beside me and nobody else.
I've never heard of pew buddy before, but it came out of her mouth. That's original, and I think something ought to be done with pew buddy.
That's
I don't know
right.
where it goes from there, but
That's right.
That's a great.
It was a
one.
great line and another great memory of
But
her, too.
my mother, 100 years old, she had 5 siblings younger than herself, and she's outlived them all. So anyway, happy birthday to my mother. She won't see this or remember it if she saw it, but we still love her and glad we have her around.
She was a great lady and been a great influence on you, John, which makes her even greater.
Well, we're glad to talk about it, and we'll be seeing everybody next segment.
And that's be the conversations with John and Pat, and this was 38, and we certainly hope that management will let us go to 39. Thank you.
Talking history about this and that. It's conversations with John and Pat, with John and Pat, with John and Pat. Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the paint. Uh-oh. I just knocked a tree over. This is the paint doctor. I got the color wheel. Now, you know what a color wheel is? It is the wheel at the paint works where you pick all your colors to paint your room. It could be a multicolored beard. It could be a underarm fan. You never can tell. One thing we do know is that it's time to paint. You know, you can make your wife very happy if you go to your house and paint some rooms, or you paint the outside of the house, the inside of the house. It makes them feel very good because you work hard for them, and they like that. All women like to see their man sweat, you know? They do. Honeydew is what they do. And you get to do it too. So you go to the paint works at 1960 North Washington Street, and you see David Heikkinen over there, and he's the real paint doctor. He fix you up with color. It's so nice when the color is right. Go to Paintworks today. Martin Senor. See? Martin Senor. Right there. Martin Senor at the Paintworks. Bye, and we see you next time. I'm burning up.
You know what, guys? There's a lot of tree branches and dry brush over here. We should probably move the bonfire over there.
I'm guessing Smokey liked that idea.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and
there was some nice things on the show
Oh,
today.
yeah, really good stuff.
I hope people will buy bricks
Uh-huh.
for their loved ones that did military, go to Lee Deckelman's yoga class at 9 o'clock and each day, right?
Each day, every day.
At the Legion downtown.
Downtown, and 6 in the evening. Has 2 classes a day.
Right. And then the Trinity diamond-studded
Diamond-studded evening.
where you get to wear your jeans and your flashy tops.
And Peggy Burton is going to be
Friday night.
Friday night, Valentine's night, going to be at the Bell Buckle Cafe. There it is.
No, we're at the Bell Buckle Banquet
Hall. Excuse
because
me.
They
Banquet
have the
Hall.
most fabulous food I have never seen.
Fabulous music.
Well, yeah, they do. They have fabulous music, but they put on a great evening. The Bell Buckle
Oh, they do.
people.
They do.
Really do, and we look forward to it every year because we get to do our music.
But
sing a few
you're going to
songs.
have the South Jackson Street Band is there,
Right.
featuring Peggy Burton
and Jerry Anderson.
Jerry Anderson.
And we have with us Doreen Schultz.
Doreen
no,
Schultz.
not Schultz. Doreen Gibson. I'm not
Gibson.
sure what to call her. But it's
Doreen,
Yeah.
Doreen, Doreen, Doreen,
It's time for us to go.
Doreen.
We worn
Here
this
come the
out.
judge. Here come the judge.
judge.
We're getting ready to show you the 4 people who are running for Tim Brock's seat as judge in Coffee County right now, and we'll see you next time.
All the candidates here today are vying to be elected General Sessions Judge Part 1. All the candidates are running on the Republican ticket. A Democrat has not qualified, and so the winner of the primary will be the de facto winner. General Sessions jurisdiction has 3 large areas, criminal, civil, and juvenile. The civil includes civil suits under $25,000, collections, detainers, divorces, orders of protection. Juvenile includes dependent and neglect cases, unruly and delinquent children, and child support. And criminal cases, the judges can handle misdemeanors or they can handle preliminary hearings on felonies. And so whoever drew first can come up and start with their 2-minute opening.
Good evening. This microphone does not project. It's for the camera. I'm going to try to project my voice as much as possible tonight, but my voice is leaving me somewhat. This is a different experience for me. I speak in public every single day, but not with this view. My back is always to the audience. It's nice to actually see some faces for a change. And thank you for coming here tonight. I think this is what makes a small community special, is turnout for events like this. So I appreciate the attendance. A little bit about myself. I was raised in Tullahoma from 5th grade on. I went to Tullahoma High School, graduated Tullahoma. My mom and dad still reside in Tullahoma. My dad's a lifelong resident, went to Tullahoma schools. I'm somewhat of a byproduct. I lived in Manchester for approximately 18 years with my wife, Lori. She's here somewhere. My son, Blake, and my daughter, Lauren, is 26 and is now living in Los Angeles. So, I work in law practice with my brother-in-law, Brent Keaton. It's a family-owned business. We came here approximately 13 years ago, placed a shingle on the front door and said, this is what we're going to try to do. In hindsight, don't know if that was the smartest decision, but it worked out. Thanks again to a small community like this. We've had a lot of support, a lot of family support. Couldn't have done it without my brother-in-law. And we practice, we're a general practice. It's a small town. We do a little bit of everything. My practice is mainly focused on domestic relations law, family law. I do many, many mediations a year, which allows me to see and view a lot of facts from a lot of cases in a lot of different situations. I look forward to speaking to you further tonight. If you haven't already made your mind up on who you're voting for, I would truly appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Stacy Lynch, and I, like Greg, have also lost my voice. So I am speaking as loudly as I can. I hope that you can hear me. First, I want to say thank you very much to the Coffee County Young Republicans for having the wonderful idea of getting us all together and having this forum, and also to the Bar Association, which I have a special place in my heart for. I was a former president of the Bar Association, and love that they have also decided to get us all together and have an opportunity to speak to you all about this very important position for General Sessions Judge, and give you a little bit of information about it, and hopefully have a chance to learn a little bit more about us each as candidates, as well as the position of the General Sessions Judge. I was raised in Tullahoma, moved here when I was 13 months old. One of those who, my dad is an engineer and came to Tullahoma from California to work out at the base, pretty much like a lot of other people here in Coffee County. My parents are Bob and Sandy Lindeman. I got the best of both worlds, is what I say. I got my dad's engineering side and my mom's very outgoing, and her faith and support of the community. And she taught me early on how important it was to be involved in the community. And that's something my sister and I learned really early on. My sister Dawn Asbell now, she is also one who has just gone out and done everything she can for her community as well. And that's something that that we've continued to do. I graduated from Tullahoma High School, and graduated from Tullahoma High School in 1990, went to Vanderbilt University and graduated from there, decided that I wanted to work in the business world, and I was in human resources in the corporate world. Graduated from, decided I instead of teaching people about the law, I would actually go to law school. So I went to Nashville School of Law while I worked full-time and started my family. And I worked with Vanessa Jackson, Jim Lane, and Don Ray. I have a general practice. I work with criminal, civil, as well as juvenile law. I was named the magistrate of the juvenile court in July of 2018. And at that time, I preside over the Safe Baby Court and the Family Treatment Courts. Very important jobs here in Coffee County, and actually preside over some juvenile court cases. So I'm the only candidate here today that can say that I've worked in all of the different practices, in general sessions, criminal, civil, as well as juvenile, and I've actually sat on the bench and decided cases. So that's why I'm asking for your vote on March 3rd for General Sessions Judge, and I look forward to telling you more about myself and as well as the court. So thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, folks. Thank you for coming tonight. My name's Jeff Stockwell. I'm a candidate for General Sessions Judge. The reason that we have campaigns is so folks like you can see the difference between the different candidates. And I know all these people. I've worked with all these people. They're all fine people. I have a great deal of respect for every one of them. But there are differences. In my campaign, I am not taking a dime from anyone. This is a self-funded campaign. If a judge is out for lunch and one of you fine folks decides to buy him a hamburger, that's a judicial ethics violation. Now, during a campaign, it's perfectly okay to give people money. And that's the way the rules are set up. And that does not make sense to me. So I'm not accepting money from anyone. I am self-funding my campaign. Experience. Experience is probably the most important thing for this job, and I think we probably will all agree on that. I don't know, but I think experience is key. I graduated from the University of Denver College of Law as a Chancellor Scholar, which is a very prestigious scholarship, which I'm quite proud of. During law school, I worked for the Colorado State Public Defender's Office, also a very prestigious position for a law student, and I went on to work for them after law school. After graduation, I was in private practice in Denver, Colorado, and then my wife and I chose to move to Tennessee, where I worked with Campbell Smoot. Campbell and I tried cases ranging from murder to public intoxication. I've worked with judges, other lawyers, and police officials daily. Experience does count. And while most attorneys spend the largest part of their career working from their offices, I have spent mine in courtrooms. I've handled thousands of individual cases. I would be willing to bet that I have more trial experience than any of my opponents, and probably more than all of them put together. In my opinion, a competent judge gets as much information as possible, applies any relevant law, and most importantly, considers the impact of their decision before they make it. Thank you for listening, folks. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everybody. And as part of the Young Republicans putting this on, I wanted to say what a great week it's been to be a Republican, and very proud of what's happened in the past week. And my name's Jason Husky. I've grown up here in Manchester. My parents are from Tullahoma. We've lived our whole lives in Coffee County. My father's Robert Husky. He's been practicing here for, I believe, about 50 years. My mother was Sharon Turnbow in Tullahoma and raised there, and she passed in 2011. I'm married. My wife is Christy Davis Husky, and she is somewhere in this room. And we have two beautiful children, 4 and 6, who are hopefully home getting ready for bed at this point. I began actually working in a law office at about 13 years old, doing odds and ends, and did more as I got older. I graduated from MTSU with a bachelor's in criminal justice, minor in psychology, and emphasis in political science. And then after a short break, I went to Nashville School of Law and graduated in 2006, actually with Greg. Well, Greg and I were in the same class, and have been practicing as an attorney here ever since. I had a lot I was going to discuss about as far as the breakdown of the job, and Will thoughtfully went through some of that for you. But the experience is key in this. And as Jess pointed out, Jess has probably more straight experience in time than any of us. But Jess is, we have focuses in criminal justice and criminal law, which is about 25% to 30%, depending on how you slice it, of what comes through General Sessions Court. It is a wide-ranging court. It covers every facet that people have to deal with in life. Everything from traffic violations, family law, orders of protection. Then you get into juvenile cases, which are a very important part, but actually make up a very small part of the time. And I'll go ahead and, he just had my red flag, so I'm going to go sit down.